What's going on? It's Guys through 11 here, back with Lord of the Rings, the living card game Passage Through Mirkwood scenario. We are starting our fourth turn, I think. Yeah, technically it's turn 3. The turns start adding up after the refresh phase. So this is the fourth time through. 1, 2, 3, 4. So test dummy guy here is our first player now. So we're in the resource phase. So Gimli, Thalin, and her all get resource tokens, and we will give Aragorn. Try to do this easy. Aragorn, Theodred, and Denethor resource tokens as well. So being that we have Gandalf and we want to get this guy out of here, I think we're going to bring in the wizard. He'll help us quest as well, if need be, or defend if something else happens. So let us make sure we have the right deck this time, because I screwed up a lot before on that. Eowyn is going to spend, I guess, 5 of her own to bring out the wizard. So here comes Gandalf. Booyah. So Gandalf is awesome. As you see, at the end of each round, Gandalf discards. At the end of each round, discard Gandalf. So he's only in here for one whole round of play. So, return or whatever of play, and then he has to go. So you don't get to keep him forever. But when he comes into play, you can either draw 3 cards, deal 4 damage to one enemy in play, or reduce your threat by 5. Anybody in play is something basically on the table. So he doesn't have to actually be engaged with us. He just has to be in play, in which he is. So we're going to do 4 damage to this Hammerhorn guy to get rid of him. That'll put him up to 5. And enough to get rid of them. So now the threat's out of there. It's only one threat, but it's gone. So he's going to help our threat Gandalf 2 ways. Taking 1 off the board, and then he's probably going to quest with them depending on what we get. And he adds 4 threat, 4 attack, or 4 defend with 4 hit points. So just awesome. That 4 threat will help us get to the end of this most likely. I don't know if we want to play anything else from our boys. We can play the axe on Gimli, which is the only other restricted item. Let's do that. So we'll spend a couple resources off Gimli, and we'll give him the Dwarven Axe. It is an attachment that gives you +1 attack, +2 if attached hero is a dwarf, and Gimli is definitely a dwarf. So that is a great card for us. Trying to get this so I can kind of see what's going on here a little better. An easy way to highlight over him. So now Gimli, because of his damage, he was hitting for 7. Now he's actually hitting for 9 every attack. So that is awesome. And that's all we're playing over there because we don't have anything left. So Scowls is 311. We have a few tokens here. But nothing really necessary. I'm not going to bring Gandalf out yet. Well, I can't, technically. Gandalf is, he has the mark next to his name, just like some of our heroes do and a couple other characters, meaning that only one of him could be in play at one time. So even if I wanted to bring him out, I couldn't because this card is out. So we're pretty much done with our planning phase. Move on to quest. We're going to quest her, and we'll quest Gandalf as well. We'll quest Thalin, of course. We will quest Theodred. We will quest Aragorn. We will pay Theodred's extra token for questing to Aragorn to ready him. And I guess we'll quest the Guard of the Citadel as well, because we have a defender here. And I really want to try to get through this right now. So it is time to draw some encounter cards. Our first one is another Forest Spider. How many Forest Spiders are in this deck? Seriously. And our next one is a Great Forest Web, which we already have one up there. So we're questing for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, -2, 4, 6, which gives us 7 which is enough. Now, when you have a location here and you add more than it takes to get rid of it, and you add the remaining onto the quest, you don't actually do that when you go from one quest to another. So even though we have more than we need here, it just stops at 8. So, whoops, wrong one. So all we need is really 8 on here, and the quest is now done. At least part 1 is. So once the quest gets done, it immediately pretty much stop everything you're doing, and you have to immediately put the next quest card up and do what it says. So we are in the middle of our quest phase, pretty much the end of our quest phase, I guess. So we take this, put it back in the quest deck, and we find part 2A and bring that out, and that is where we head next. So a fork in the road. As you move through Mirkwood, hounded by spiders, the forest path forks before you. So now we flip it. Unsure of what lies ahead, but spurred by the urgency of your message, you choose a path and proceed. Forced. When you defeat this stage, proceed to one of the 2 a chosen path stages at random. So there are 2 3As down here, but basically what happens is when you get through this card, you randomly select which one of these cards we're going to do. The front of both cards are the same, but the backs are different. You're going to have to either quest through another area, or you're going to have to kill one big tough enemy. So that's how it ends. So to get through this area, all we really need is 2. Over here, we need 2 tokens, 2 progress tokens on this one to get through it. So it's actually very easy to get through, which is nice. Alright, so now we move on to travel phase. And do I want to travel somebody? We could quest. We don't need to heal anybody. What do we got? One enemy out here who is going to come. I really don't want him to keep hitting Gimli. I know he's got 9 hit points, but he only has 4 left, really. He got smacked pretty good last turn. You know what? Let's heal Gimli. That takes away from a little bit of his health. But let's travel to one of these Great Forest Webs. So when we travel here, we must exhaust 1 hero to travel. Well, that's going to screw up our defenses. We're going to have to get rid of one of these guys too. Problem is he's swinging for 3 minus 1, 2. He's still got 4 hit points. He'll be okay. I'm not going to do that right now. I can still heal him actually. I'm not going to travel right now. We're just going to stay with what we got. And we are now in the encounter phase, so we will pull him down here for Gimli to attack. And so then we go in to combat phase. Well, actually, we can actually now heal. So we're going to take her and heal Gimli 2 points, just to get him I'm not worrying as much as I should be. Okay, so now that he's down a little bit on attack, but he's still hitting pretty hard. We move on to combat phase, and we only need 1 kill here, and he also has this weapon of Gondolin, which will allow him, if he kills somebody, Aragorn, to add 1 point to our quest, so that's nice as well. So who's test dummy is first player here, so we'll draw a shadow card. We'll throw the first one on this guy and put the next one on this guy. So Gimli is going to defend this attack. The shadow card is it's a location, so that does not do anything to us. So he's hitting for 3 against Gimli's 1, which Gimli gets hit for a damage point, but that's not that bad. Okay, so now we got over here, we are going to defend with Denethor, because that is his job. And another location, so that does not affect us. So this guy's hitting for 2 because he's been here. He has 3 defense, so he just shrugs it off, basically. I would have tapped Gimli to defend. I didn't do that. And now we have Unexpected Courage, so we can use that to tap him back. and then we will tap him again to attack. So he has, right now he has 6 attack, 2 plus the 4 damage is 6, and then he has an additional 2, so he's swinging for 8, minus 1 is 7, so he beats the crap out of that thing. And now Aragorn is going to go, and this is not an orc, so he doesn't get a bonus damage, so he's going 3 against 1 is 2, which adds 2 wounds to his 4, so he dies as well. And then because of his blade, he is able to place 1 progress token on the current quest, so that is nice. So we only need 1 more to get through this, and that is it. So now we'll refresh our cards, and we add 1 threat to each player. Nice, and we move on to the resource phase, so we move on to the next turn. So it's Scowls' turn here. Scowls 311's official turn. So we each get a progress token. Actually, can I just hold? No, if I hold control, it flips the card, so can't do that. So progress token for each one. No, not a progress token, you idiot. A resource token for each one, and then a resource token for each one of them. So now we move on to the, well, actually we get cards, yes. So Scowls gets, let's take a look at his hand. Did I draw cards last turn? I don't remember if I drew cards last turn after my resource phase. I can't remember. I might have skipped drawing cards. Or could we not because of the, maybe we couldn't because of the, did we have a location that didn't allow us to draw cards? I can't remember. Either way, we might have. We got a Steward of Gondor, which is a really good card. It's a resource, or it's a leadership card that's an attachment that will allow us to get 2 more resources to the attached hero. We'll probably throw that on one of our guys here, probably Aragorn. It also gives the Gondor trait, which means that if we play this 4 Gondor card, all characters get +1 attack, and if your character is a Gondor character, they get +1 defense, which is what Denethor already is. You see under his name it says Gondor Noble Steward. So under Aragorn it says Dwynadin Noble Ranger, and now he will also have the Gondor trait, so he'll be able to add to his defense as well with this card. That's a one-time play. So let's take off a resource from each one of these guys, and we'll play this on Aragorn. Just play them underneath. That's how I tend to normally do it. Alright, so he now can add 2 resources to his pool by tapping that. Oh, we can't use that. We already have one over here. Gosh darn it, Skulls. I forgot this card has the mark, meaning there's going to be 1 on the table at a time. So that card is now discard fodder for Eowyn's ability. We could use it for that. Probably should have been using that discard ability already. We could have probably would have got through some stuff a little fast. And Gandalf's supposed to be gone too, and he's still out there. So I'm just like completely screwing up left and right. So we got what going on here? So we can't play that card, so I guess we're not going to play anything. We do have a Veteran Axe hand we can play. Not that that's very great for us. Did we pay the resources? Yeah, we did. So we need to add those resources back to these guys because we didn't actually use them. Yeah, we paid resources to play that card. Yeah, so we'll bug it back to them. They had 3. So they had a lot. They got a lot of resources here. We got these Gandalfs sitting here too. Okay, so we can't play that card, so we're not gonna play anything. We'll just save it for if we need Gandalf. We don't need him right now. Okay, so we'll move on to Test Dummy's turn, and we got 2/2/1 over here. And we could play a Veteran Axe Hand over here. Why is there a Veteran Axe Hand? Oh, I was looking at the wrong deck. But we're not going to do that. Stand and fight, feint. Well, we could play it. Let's just play it. Well, I want to keep one for the feint, so let's not play it, just in case we get somebody nasty. We don't really need another guy over there. Gimli's holding the fort down on his own, and over here we're doing fine, so we'll just not worry about it right now. So let's move on to our quest phase, and we'll quest Eowyn, Thalin as usual. We'll quest Theodred, Aragorn. We'll pay Theodred to Aragorn and allow him to reorder himself. And that's it. We'll keep him here, I think, because we are going to have to, if I want to travel to the Great Forest Web, we're going to have to, which we don't really need to probably, but if I did, we're going to need another character to exhaust. Oh, actually, we can only exhaust heroes, so that's not going to really help us, but that's okay. We only need one more progress type here anyway, so let's throw some encounter cards out. We got the Eye, the Necromancer's Reach, 1 damage to each exhausted character. Even though Aragorn did exhaust to quest, the ability made it so he's not exhausted now, so he does not get hit with that. So that is a very nice thing. But Theodred does get hit, so does Thalin, and so does our girl Eowyn. They all get hit. So this goes in the encounter discard, and we'll draw another one. And we get caught in the web. Not good. We can give that to, you know what, let's give it to Theodred. What this means is they can't ready themselves unless they pay 2 at the resource phase or refresh phase. He's got 3, so he'll be able to pay it off this turn and come back next turn, so it's not a big deal. The great thing about this is no enemies came up, and we are already, I have 4 here only, so 4, 5, actually we could flip her now, because I didn't do it, because I'm stupid, to attach 2 resources to her. Okay, so 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 going up against 4 gives us 4, which is more than enough, so being that we only needed 2. So this quest is done. We'll move that down, and we look at our next quest card, and it is one of these 2 at random. So we have 2 3As. Now what this game does, this program has a coin toss here, so it's very cool. So we're going to flip a coin, heads, tails, and see what comes up, and that's the one how we'll pick it. So we got, what happened? It's supposed to show up down here. Did I miss it? Oh, there it is. I'm way behind. Dummy flips a coin, the result is tails. Okay. So it's tails, so it's the second one that we're going to keep. So we'll put the quest away, and this is the one that we have to do. So we flip it over. Well, the trail winds into one of the darkest, most tangled parts of the forest. You sense that a foul, dark presence is hunting you, and you move quickly in an attempt to avoid its evil. Don't leave the path. So this is the one where we have to fight the enemy. The shadows grow darker, and you realize that a foul presence is aiming to draw you from the path. You must defeat it to pass this way. When revealed, each player must search the encounter deck and discard pile for 1 spider card of his choice and add it to the staging area. The players must find and defeat Ungoliant's spawn to win the game. Ungoliant's spawn is the big dog in this scenario, the big spider. So we can't beat the game unless we defeat Ungoliant's spawn. So obviously one of the 2 spider cards we're going to pull is that one, so we can get it out quick and try to end the game fast. So what we need to do is search the encounter deck and discard powerful inspire card of his choice and add a stage in there. So each player does that. So how do we search encounter decks? We have the encounter deck here. We are going to reveal to all of the deck, I guess, and then we'll shuffle it up. So what happened there? It didn't pop up anywhere. Oh, do we just look at the encounter deck? There it is. Okay. So here is the encounter deck. Ongoing Spawn is right here. So we're going to pull him up. Or her up, whatever it is. And we need to find one other spider card to add as well. And what we got left? We have a King Spider. We have... It looks like all we have is the King Spider. We pulled all those other 4 spiders out during the game that kept coming. So that's basically all we can do. So we now shuffle this up. Okay, so that is done. Okay, we're back to normal here. So now we have 2 enemies up here. We have Ungoliant Spawn and King Spider. We want Gimli, actually, technically, to take on Ungoliant Spawn because he can slam it hard. You can hit it hard. So how are we going to do this? Gimli can defend it for 5, -2 for 3. He actually has 5 hit points remaining, so we'll probably have him. Well, we have to bring it over that we could technically have Aragorn defend it, but he only has 2 defense and 5 hit points. He hits for 5. Now the quest phase is over, which is good because it says when Ungoliant Spawn enters play, all characters currently committed to a quest gets -1 willpower. So if we were actually still trying to get quest tokens, that would really screw us. Everybody would have -1. But I gotta do this one too. King Spider, each player must choose and exhaust one character he controls. So not a hero. So we will exhaust our Gondor guy. And well, here's a problem. Shit. The only character we have is Gimli. So we'll have to exhaust him. Which means that we can't defend and attack with him this turn. But you know what? We're going to be okay. We'll be okay. We're just going to take one more, at least doing one more turn to kill him. So what we're going to do is we have a couple feints in our hand, in our decks, so we'll be fine. Okay. So that kind of sucks. So now we go on to the travel phase, which we're not going to worry about right now. We got 2 up here, that's fine. So we go to the encounter phase. It is officially Scowls' turn, so he can choose to pull somebody. Both these guys are going to come because their threat is lower than ours, or even with. So Scowls will pull the spider, and Gimli will pull Ungoliant Spawn. And what we're going to do here, actually, because we have 2 threats, we don't gonna really have to worry about them, which is nice. So we will go with Scowls goes first, actually. So we need to draw shadow cards. Shadow card for you, and a shadow card for you. So we're going to defend with Denethor on this guy. He has 3 attack, 3 hit points, 1 shield defense. The shadow card is a Mountains of Mirkwood, so it's nothing big. So his 3 attack just bounces off Denethor's 3 defense, nothing happens. Now we get to attack with Aragorn. She doesn't have an attack, does she? No. So we'll attack. Oh, well, actually, they attack first. So Ungoliant Spawn is up. What we're going to do with him is play. Where's it at? Test dummy. We need 1 token. So we're going to take one resource from Thalon and play Feint on Ungoliant Spawn. And what that's going to do is allow him to not attack this phase. So he's just going to stand there looking stupid. So since he doesn't attack, the shadow card actually doesn't do anything. It just gets discarded. So we can look at it and see what it was. It was a Eyes of the Forest, which could be a bad card for us if it came out. in the staging area, but it didn't. So because Gimli technically doesn't have to, well, you know what, we're going to go here first because that's the first player. I'm getting ahead of myself again. So Aragorn is going to attack with his 3 damage, and he will do 2 damage with their 1 defense on this guy. So that's 2 wounds on him. He's still alive. The blade doesn't help because it's not an orc. If it was an orc, we would do an additional point, but that's okay. So now Gimli is able to play, because he didn't have to defend, he's able to play Unexpected Courage to redo himself, and now he is going to attack Ungoliant Spawn for 6 with an additional 2 for 8 damage. Ungoliant Spawn has 2 hit point, 2 shields, so that is 6 damage on him. He also has 9 hit points, so he's still going to be around for at least 1 more turn. But we do have another feint, and we do have a Gandalf that we can use next turn. So we'll probably end up doing that. Test dummy. We need to discard this. Okay. So that is that turn. You know what? We'll just end us. We'll just go. I was thinking about trying to do 2 moves, 2 turns of video, but we might as well just finish this off because it's almost over. So combat's done. So refresh phase. To refresh, because of Caught in a Web, he has to pay 2 tokens, 2 resources. So we'll do that there, and then he can come back, come back, come back. Okay, so everybody's refreshed. Oh, actually, we have to also add 1 threat because of that. Okay. So now it is officially Test Dummy's turn. Resource management is upon us, so we add 1 resource to all of them. We add 1 resource to all of them. And see, Test Dummy gets a card. And it is the Northern Tracker, which is a great card that we did not have this whole game. It's expensive, it costs 4, but it allows you, every time it commits to a quest, to place 1 token on each location in the staging area. So when these things fill up, you can just, every turn when you quest this guy, you slowly start putting tokens on these, and you can start knocking them out before they even have to travel to them. So he's a really good card. Now Scowls' turn, gets a card, and it is the Forest Snare, which is awesome. This we don't really need it anymore, but the Forest Snare is basically like a feint that lasts forever. Feint lasts 1 turn, where you stop him from attacking with feint. This you put on an enemy, and it cannot attack at all anymore. So it's a great card, one that we would actually be able to use on him, but we don't really need to anymore, but still, it's pretty cool. Well, we can just feint these guys to death, or we can bring Gandalf out. Let's do that. So now we go to planning phase. We have a Gandalf, so let's just end this now. So we're gonna take let's take 4 tokens from Aragorn and 1 from Denethor. I guess it's 5. We'll bring out the wizard, who does 4 damage instantly when it comes out to any enemy. So we'll do 4 damage to Ungoliant Spawn, which is 10 points of the 9, and he is gone. Ungoliant Spawn is gone. So we throw that in the encounter discard. So that's it. We win the first scenario in this game. Worked out pretty well for us, I think, for the most part. A few mistakes here and there, but I'm still trying to get used to the game itself, actually, and doing it on here. It's easier to remember things when you have the physical cards, I think, because you're actually moving them, and I'm looking at them. I say, okay, he does 1, he does this, he does this. On the computer, you just kind of double click and stuff, and you don't pay as much attention to what the cards are saying every minute that you use them. So it does make it a little more difficult to, for me right now, to remember what everybody does. The more I play it, though, the more I'll just know what they do. So it'll be okay in the end, I think. One thing I did not do, if we look at our encounter discard pile, is look, we did kill the Hummerhorns. So when you raise, at the end of the game, you can get a score, and that score is how you determine how good you do, basically. And it's pretty cool, actually, that they do that, because it's useful to like kind of test out your decks, and you can say, okay, last time I scored 120 points. Now this time I scored 110 points after I added a card or two or took a card out of my deck, and you can kind of see how you do. They also have a website on Fantasy Flight Games where you can enter your scores, and you can keep track. They'll keep track of them for you, which is actually very cool. The reason I'm saying that is that there's only a couple cards in this scenario at least that has victory points. The Hummerhorns is one of them. As you can see over here, it says victory 5 on the bottom right. That means we get 5 victory points for this card. Usually you want to just put them off to the side. I think the other reason you do that is, I'm pretty sure, I don't know for sure now, but I think that if you ever run out of encounter cards, you have to reshuffle the deck and put them back down so you can keep pulling encounter cards, which means that you're going to pull doubles. Again, you're going to pull the same cards again. I think because you put the victory cards off to the side, those don't go back in the deck when you reshuffle them, which could be very useful because anybody who usually has a victory on it is one of the tougher cards to deal with. So not having to bring them back in is very useful. I'm pretty sure on that. I think so. There is an actual victory section here that we're supposed to put this in when we do it. So that does not go into the encounter section. So when we reshuffle the encounter deck, I don't think the victory deck gets added into that. So I think that is why it looks like that. Okay, so the only other card in this deck that actually has victory tokens is he in here? Did we pull him? Here he goes. Chieftain Uthak. He has 4 victory points, and he's like pretty much the next toughest guy in the deck. The funny thing is the spider doesn't have any, and he's the boss. He doesn't get any victory tokens, but maybe it's because we have to fight him, in that game. So Uthak he has 6 hit points, 3 attack, 3 damage. He's tough too. Every time he attacks, you add more resources on him. The more resources he has on him, the more damage he does, so he can really start whooping your butt. So he has 4. So the way we do score now, if I remember correctly, is we add up the total threat of our characters, which is 67. So we look at everybody that's played and we add that threat up. So we got a threat, let me get my calculator out here, 67. Then we add remember the lower the score the better. So we add 8 points for every hero that was killed. None of them were killed, so that's good. So we don't add anything there. We add a point for every token of damage on a hero. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we got to add 7. And then we take the amount of turns it took times 10. So that's 5 turns times 10 is 50. So we add 50 more. That gives us 124 points. And then now we get to subtract this 5 from the Hummerhorns. So we end the game with 119 points. So we can, like I said before, you can kind of, do your deck over again or try something else and then play the same scenario and see if you can beat your score of 119 points. I don't really play for points. If I did, one thing I would have done at the end there, even though I didn't need to technically, is I probably would have used Daughter of the Nimrodel maybe and healed, say, since Gandalf killed the spider anyway, we could have healed Gimli for like 2 wounds, and we would have actually, instead of having 119 points, we would have had 117 points, which would have been a little better score. So that's kind of stuff you can think about if you're going for score. You would try to milk it as best you can. So anyway, that's it. That's our first scenario in this game. I hope you enjoyed watching it. I think this game is very good. I'm insanely addicted to it right now, like I said in the first video, and I've just been playing it a lot. So or if not playing it, looking at cards and trying to figure out deck builds and that kind of stuff. So one thing about this game I do enjoy compared to other games like Magic is that one is it's cooperative, which I like. I could play with my wife and we're not like, we can try to strategize together and play. The other thing is that it's not like the Magic or some of the other games where you buy random packs of cards and you may get nothing. You might spend $5 or whatever the price is these days on a pack of cards, and everything in there might be junk or something you already have, and you get kind of like, what the hell? I feel like you wasted your cash. I would, at least. Every time you buy an expansion pack for this game or whatever they're putting out, everybody gets the same cards. It's the same setup. They're all built to do these scenarios, so you're never getting screwed on your cards, or you're never wasting money on these things in that way. Another thing I like about it is I don't mind putting a little bit of money toward it and collecting some of the stuff, because I know what I'm getting is what I'm supposed to get, and everything works out easy that way for me. So that's another thing I like about it. But regardless of that, I hope you enjoy the videos if you liked it, and let me know if you want to see any more. We can move on to the next scenario, in a little bit of time here. The next one's pretty tough. It starts out with a very difficult enemy right off the bat that you have to worry about. So it would be a very difficult scenario to do, but it is beatable for sure. So we'll move on to that one maybe next. But anyway, thanks for watching, like I said, and we'll see you guys later.